Now the stock market continues dropping as the market fears the possible war that can be between Ukraine and Russia. I mean, today when the markets open, we saw the Dow opening down almost 2%, with the S&P 500 down almost 1.5%, and last but not least, with the Nasdaq down by almost 1.4%. Now this is in fears, like I said, of the war against Russia and Ukraine. I mean, even though the US and countries like UK have issued sanctions on Russia, we are still seeing, or it looks like Russia is still going ahead with the plans to invade Ukraine. Now this is something that is dragging the stock market down. This is something that the market is not liking at all. Now it looks like more sanctions are still going to be put on Russia, or are still going to come, or other countries are still going to come with heavy sanctions on Russia, just trying to make Russia to stop with this invasion on Ukraine. Now yesterday we saw the barrel of oil hitting almost $100. So $100 per barrel, we saw the markets hitting almost that, which is something that must show you that even where we are going in the future, we might see the barrel or the oil prices going up as the upcoming days unfold due to this Ukraine and Russia tension. So I mean, this is something that is, like I said, it's hitting the stock market. And don't forget that Russia, in terms of this oil production, they are number 3, or they are the third oil producer in the world, which is something that must show you of how strong Russia is when it comes to producing oil. So this is not good at all, because even this Europe that is issuing sanctions on this Russia and still planning to issue some more sanctions is getting 25% of its oil from Russia, which is something that must show you that there will be hikes of oil in Europe in the days to come due to this. Now, not only is Russia supplying oil to Europe, I mean 40% of natural gas from Europe or in Europe comes from Russia. So you can see how also these European countries are dependent on Russia in terms of natural gas and oil, which is something that we are going to see the prices of those going up, or we are going to see hikes of both this natural gas and oil going up due to this Ukraine-Russia war threat, which is something that I think it should be a concern to investors. And it just makes things worse, especially for the US, as you know that the inflation is quite high as it stands. I mean, 4% of its core CPI, or its consumer price index, is gasoline. So gasoline constitutes about 4% of their core CPI, which is something that is a strain, or that brings strain to investors, especially knowing or looking at the fact that the prices of oil are still going up, which is something that, thinking of that, it might even worsen, or it is going to simply worsen inflation, which is something that as an investor you should have that in mind and know that we can see inflation getting worse in the US due to this Russia and Ukraine tensions. Now, it's not only Russia that is, of course, supplying all these good things, because you'll notice that, as seen on the screen, 90% of US semiconductors comes from Ukraine, which is something that I think it will bring more harm also in the semiconductor side in the US when it comes to the supply that they get from Ukraine, because 90% it's quite a lot of semiconductors, because these semiconductors are used in cars, in computers, and in all other computer-like things that uses these semiconductors. So if these war threats continue between Russia and Ukraine, we are going to continue seeing things like semiconductors prices going higher, which will also increase the price of your car, increase the prices of your computers, and all the other things that uses these semiconductors, which is something that, like I said, the US, I don't think it wants that, which is why I think countries are trying to put some heavy sanctions on Russia so that at least they can stop invading Ukraine, because it will come with some serious impact, not just only in Ukraine, but in countries in Europe and also in the US, which is something that I don't think, like I said, the US and other countries want that. So if these tensions are to continue between Russia and Ukraine, Goldman Sachs predicts that we can see the S&P 500 dropping by 6%, whereas other bank analysts believe that if these tensions of Russia and Ukraine continue, the Nasdaq can fall by 9%, which is something that is not good at all to investors, because this just means that most of the stocks or the stock market as a whole will go down, which is something that I believe that investors don't want that. So these Russia-Ukraine tensions are already coming to the stock market and took it down further. As you know that there were already some serious news that were making the stock market not to grow by much. I mean, there is a high inflation, there is high interest rates, or there is interest rate hikes which are said to come the rest of this year. I mean, I've covered already that in one of my previous videos, indicating that we might see interest rate hikes in the US going up 7 times just this year. And already the Fed indicated in one of their previous meetings, indicating that they expect, or they are expecting, to start rising interest rate now around March of 2022, which is something that already it is making the stock market, or was making the stock market, to perform poorly. Now with this Russia-Ukraine tensions, it is making the stock market to be worse. But one of the good things, of course, is that as an investor, I don't think you ought, of course it makes you to panic a bit, but one of the things that you ought to be doing is to go in and load the boat, because these drops, or these sharp drops that we're witnessing in the stock market right now, it is offering good opportunities to investors. Investors can go out there and buy those stocks that they've always wanted to buy, and buy ETFs, like the ETF I'll be buying called the VOO, Vanguard S&P 500, which also track the top 500 companies in the US. This is the perfect time for you to go in and start buying those stocks. But of course, I don't advise you to go in and just throw in all of your money. Maybe it's good that you observe, because this is the time, or we are living in a time whereby you just need to keep on taking maybe a fraction of the money you have and throw it in and invest, because you don't know, or we never know, how low these markets will drop. So it is a good, or it is advisable for you to go in and load the boat bit by bit. As the markets drop, you continue loading. Don't just put the entire lump sum of the market. And yes, I know that it's difficult to predict on how the markets will fall, but during these times of uncertainties, especially with the Ukraine and Russia tensions, I think you just have to closely monitor that as you load the boat, because I believe that one way or the other, the markets will recover. There's no doubt about that. These companies will still do very well. We're still going to see an all-time high in the S&P 500, which is something that is truly amazing and ought to give you hope and make you to open up your eyes to the opportunities that are in the market right now. So go grab those opportunities with both hands, because I believe that 2-3 years down the line, you are going to definitely be happy or proud about the decision that you would have taken and loading the boats in the market right now. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I make tons and tons of stock market investing videos, and if you think that video was amazing, please don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and if you're new, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so that YouTube can notify you every time I release a video. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey. And of course, you know that this video was just for entertainment purposes. All that I was sharing here are just my opinions, and you should not take them as professional financial advice. Otherwise, if you seek professional financial advice, you already know what to do by now, and that is you need to go and consult the professional. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey. God bless you all.